You can really smell it now, it's started turning.
Yeah, so roasting is really important for whenever you're making chocolate. It activates the flavour.
The chocolate's been pouring out of these pipes for more than 10 years. The last 10 months, though, have left a sour taste in Shane's mouth. Because making sweets is hard when major sugar suppliers stopped supplying to Northern Ireland post-Brexit.
So we have problems getting sugar over.
Yeah.
All in, how has the last 10 months been since Brexit really kicked in?
It's been like being on a passenger on a bus with somebody who hasn't got a licence driving it. We found it very difficult. We found it sourcing packaging from the mainland UK has been a challenge. It's disrupted a lot of our projects with some of our high-end clients to try and deliver a project on time. It's usually been delayed by a couple of months.
Major clients, like luxury department store Fortnum & Mason, rely on a steady stream of product. Interruptions impact bottom lines. So not only suppliers, but some customers have been lost to Brexit.
From cocoa beans to sausages to medicines, the Irish Sea has become a significant border. Companies complaining that the protocol had prevented products from coming in, trade stifled, all in the name of EU regulations. Well, today, vast swathes of those customs checks rules have been swept away. Effectively, a lot of the problematic parts of the protocol ripped up. But while this might be a win for the UK government, many companies here have already changed the way that they trade, the way that they operate, effectively cutting out Great Britain.
The start of the year was a bit of a disaster. It took us going from 2 weeks to get cocoa beans in before Brexit. Now it takes us 5 or 6 weeks. So it has been a major delay. So we've had to shift our port that we use to import cocoa beans from Dublin now. So our beans come in via Dublin and then they drive up the land border to where we are in Northern Ireland.
So you're just completely bypassing the UK now?
Yes, we've completely bypassed the UK when we're sourcing cocoa beans.
Can you ever imagine going back?
At the minute, no.
And Shane is part of a wider trend. In fact, the value of imports from Ireland into Northern Ireland have increased by 77% since Brexit. Today, the EU made major concessions that could reverse that trend. 80% of customs checks scrapped, keeping these lorries moving freely. Trucks carrying 100 food products would no longer need 100 certificates, just one. But overseeing any disputes would be the European Courts of Justice, which the UK government still fundamentally rejects. The business community here wants pragmatism, not politics.
Well, it shouldn't be a sticking point because it's not an issue for business. This is a Brexit purity issue for the UK government. For us, this is about a pragmatic delivery of the protocol. We see benefits in it, we see opportunities in it, and what we've seen today from the EU removes a lot of the problems with it.
Practically, though maybe not quite as enthusiastically, it's a view shared by this Brexit-backing businessman and former chair of the Northern Ireland Conservatives.
European Courts of Justice, I think I prefer to see arbitration, but I'm not sort of stuck on that one.
You'd let it slide?
I would let that slide if I had to.
Do you think Boris Johnson will let it slide?
I doubt it.
2 years ago, the talk was all of oven-ready deals. After 10 months of taste testing the live product, the recipe needs tweaking. On Friday, intensive negotiations begin again, and we start to find out if the EU's sweeteners have worked or if their vision of Brexit is still too bitter for the government to swallow.
Paul McNamara in Belfast. Well, let's talk to the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party, also in Belfast, Jeffrey Donaldson, who is at Stormont now. Jeffrey Donaldson, thank you very much for coming on the programme. So the majority of the checks have gone. You must be very pleased.
Well, we were told a few weeks ago that there wouldn't be negotiations, that the protocol couldn't be reopened, the issues and the difficulties and the harm the protocol is doing to Northern Ireland couldn't be reversed. And now we see the EU putting proposals on the table and we see the beginning of a negotiating process. So we welcome that as far as it goes. I think what the EU have proposed goes some way to addressing some of the concerns that we have, but it still falls well short of what is needed in terms of an overall solution. But we will want to see the negotiations go forward pragmatically. We want to see a solution found as quickly as possible. And I actually agree with what Mairead McGuinness said. Let's get this done as quickly as possible. We don't want to see this dragged out any longer than the next few weeks.
But the point is that having given in on some of the issues, you think they'll give in on more and you're going to carry on pushing.
Well, this is the EU's opening pitch in a negotiation. The this won't be the final outcome. We want to get to a solution that crucially removes that Irish Sea border that you heard talked about by businesses in your report from Belfast. We don't believe it's right that there should be customs checks on goods staying within the UK internal market, moving from Great Britain to Northern Ireland. We want those customs checks removed. We want Northern Ireland's place within the UK internal market restored. And the very crucial and delicate constitutional balance that is here, it needs to be put back in place. And that's what we hope will come from these negotiations, and we'll see this Irish Sea border out of the way. And as Lord Frost said yesterday, the protocol replaced with new arrangements that respect the integrity of the United Kingdom and enable the EU to protect the integrity of its single market as well.
Right, but you also had one of those business leaders in Paul's piece there talking about the importance of pragmatism and not politics. Is there not a danger that as you sense the weakness in the EU, you're going to push this too far and play too much politics to the detriment of the prosperity of Northern Ireland?
Well, of course, I want an outcome that works for Northern Ireland, and that's what we've been pushing for. And I make no apology for pushing hard to get to where we are today. We've put a lot of effort in the last few weeks into talking to the government in London, the EU in Brussels and others to get us to this point. And I'll keep pushing until we get the solution that works for Northern Ireland. That's the outcome that I want.
Will you also insist on the scrapping of the ruling of the ECJ, the authority of the European Court of Justice, over the trading arrangement, like the government has done?
Well, I think the government makes a fair point. If in the future there are disputes between the UK and the EU about trading arrangements, then it is important that any arbitration process to resolve those disputes is fair and independent. And I think the government makes a fair point that having the court on one side of that dispute, being the arbitrator, is not exactly fair or equitable.
I want to ask you whether you trust Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, because, of course, we heard in Gary's earlier piece, we heard him pledging to your conference 3 years ago that he would never do the very thing that he ended up doing. Do you actually trust the Prime Minister?
Well, it's never too late to put right what has gone wrong, and it's never too late to put in place the commitments that people have made in the past, and that's what we're looking for now. I think Mairead McGuinness was also right. We're not going to dwell in the past. I'm focused on where we are now. We're working with the government, we're working with the EU to get a solution. It's not a matter of trust, it's a matter of getting the job done. That's the business that I'm in. I want to see action and a solution that works for Northern Ireland within the United Kingdom and respects our trading relationship with the EU.
Jeffrey Donaldson, thank you very much indeed.